Well, David, thank you for joining us today.
It's a pleasure. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm unbelievably excited about this chart. Thank you so much for bringing in a couple of books for us to look through. The new book, Sevi, it just is incredible, and we'll definitely come on to that. I feel like I'm not sure quite where to start. I almost want to rewind back time because we did a little bit of an intro before, and I'm fascinated about this idea that you had all the ambitions of being a player back in the day.
Yeah, very much so.
Talk us through all that. How did that all kind of start?
It started, I was lucky enough, or whichever way you look at it, to be sent away to school. For an 8-year-old, just prep school, boarding school from 1963. So I was at boarding school, played cricket, loved cricket.
Right.
Yeah, first 11 cricket, opening bat, loved it. But then I went to my public school, which was St Edward's in Oxford, and they had a 9-hole golf course.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah.
So you've not played golf before this?
Well, I played with my dad. I mean, my dad was a golfer, and we lived in Ascot, and we played at Sunningdale Ladies, as it was there, Sunningdale Heath now. And I hit a few shots, but and round the garden I broke a few windows and that sort of stuff. But cricket was all I wanted to play.
And was your dad good at golf? Was he a pro or?
No. He was just very average, but loved it.
Yeah.
My mum was the better player, but she didn't really play that much because she was looking after 2 kids, and
of course
things were in those days. The dad took precedent, and he went and played golf on Saturday morning, and she looked after us, and then we met him in the clubhouse at lunchtime.
And back in the day, was it such a golf course where it was almost frowned upon as being a junior member back then?
Well, yeah. I mean, I never even contemplated being a junior member at that stage.
It just wasn't a thing.
No, and there weren't that many junior members, and I guess we moved to Leicester in 1964. So that was a big change to move away from Ascot to Leicester, and I didn't play golf there. All I did was play cricket in the garden. I had the odd chip, and then we went on holiday to Scotland. Lovely, Nairn and up that area of Scotland,
nice.
northwest of Scotland. And my dad played Nairn Dunbar.
Okay.
And I had a few odd clubs that he'd given me.
Yeah.
And we played 18 holes, and my first 18 holes was on Nairn Dunbar.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, lovely course. And I remember very vividly, my dad. He loved his after game of golf drink.
Okay.
And he thought, I'm going to keep him quiet. And he booked me a lesson with, I can't remember the chap's name, McIntosh or McGregor or something, but a fierce Scottish pro.
Professional.
And he had a junior, Scottish clubs were great with juniors. He had a junior clinic. And my dad.
And remind, you're about 11 at this time still?
Yeah,
maybe
around
a few
about
years
11.
older.
Yeah, no, 11 or 12. Not really picked up a club at that stage. And he put me in for this group session, and the boy from England with a posh voice.
You got roughed up
by the Scots, but I did all right because I could hit the ball, and and the guy was he very effusive afterwards, and he says, "That wee laddie, he needs to keep playing," So it kind of sowed the seeds of playing some golf, and then.
Do you think your cricket helped with that?
Eye for a ball, yes, obviously. That's it.
Because the ball was still now.
Yeah.
Where the ball in cricket's obviously moving.
Yeah. And I just wanted to hit it hard, as you do. And then I set off to public school at age 14 or 13, 14, whatever it was, and this golf course, and there was a boy in my house who had some clubs, and Sunday morning was there was no sport on Sunday. Sunday was the Sabbath. Well, not the Sabbath, but
day of rest.
We didn't do much on a Sunday. Nothing organised. So off we went down to the course, and I fell in love with it.
Really?
Yeah.
So it was just you and this little lad.
Yeah.
And at boarding school.
Yeah.
Not just a little 9-hole golf course, did you say?
Very, very rough.
Was it?
Very rough, but some really tricky little holes on it, and didn't have that many balls. But by that time, my dad had given me a few more clubs, and I had a mixed up set of. I don't know what they were, but...
And this is the 60s?
Yeah, 69.
So it was like persimmon, woods...
No, those laminated woods. Wasn't as good as persimmon.
Okay.
But it was wood, but not the the persimmon. And then bladed irons that, they weren't very forgiving.
Cut down or full length?
No, because I was quite tall. By the time I got in there, I was definitely 6 foot when I went to school. Almost 6 foot when I went to public school, yeah. So... we had great fun.
And you just bashed it around there.
Yeah, and I still played cricket, but by the time I got to 16, and I was playing Colts cricket and the odd game for the first at that stage, I'd suddenly, Dad had made me a member at Scraptoft Golf Club in Leicestershire.
Right.
And I came home that summer, and I got handicap, and
so it was around the age of 16 you could actually join a golf club.
Well, I could have joined before easily, but that was when I just decided that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I think next summer I won the Leicestershire Boys Championship, so I sort of basically came from.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a quick turnaround.
Yeah, I went from a 24 handicapper to a 6 handicapper that summer.
Wow.
And I was hooked, absolutely hooked.
That's amazing. I'm going to just, I'm going to move your mic just round slightly. Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah.
Cool.
I just want to hear everything you're saying.
Yeah,
That's all it is. So
by that, then the good thing about it was that my study at boarding school, boys' boarding school, naked women, well, they weren't allowed naked women, but pretty women at that stage, and long-haired pop stars, Jethro Tulls and the people of this world. Mine was plastered with golfers or Leicester City footballers.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so I was a real weirdo. Well, exclamation mark.
So back in then, who was the poster boy in your golf?
Tony Jacklin.
Tony.
Yeah, I remember listening on a very crackly radio with one single earpiece we had in those days, under my pillow, totally against the rules, of news of him winning the US Open in 1970.
Wow.
At Hazeltine. Yeah, so he was my absolute hero.
And at this point, you obviously becoming a good player, was your aspiration to go on and be a golfer? Do you think that was achievable?
I wanted to, because I was down to scratch by the time I left school.
That's really quick, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it was like one of those things. I think if you're a natural player and you really get at it, you can do.
And you put a lot of time in on the Sundays with your pal, and then you've joined the golf club in Leicester.
Yeah, and Leicester came home and literally got my dad to drop me at the golf course in the morning.
Wow.
I'd moved to the Leicestershire Golf Club by then.
Yeah.
It was on the way to work for him, so he'd drop me off in the morning,
Perfect.
pick me up, or I'd even, in the high summer, come and get me at
11 o'clock or whatever. Yeah,
that's literally all day long.
Sounds like every junior golfer's life, wasn't it? I was the same. Guy was the same.
Yeah, it's amazing.
The best. Yeah, the best of the best.
What a sport it is for youngsters, isn't it?
It teaches you so many.
For parents as well, because they're safe.
It's free childcare, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And they learn so many life skills.
Yeah,
great manners.
Learn how to behave properly. That's so important.
Financial. How much you can spend on your chips and how much you can spend on the practice ground.
Chips and orange cordial.
Yeah, exactly.
And how much you can play for and not have the right amount of money in your pocket.
How much you can afford to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
So from 16 and then kind of looking at turning professional at some years after that?
Yeah, it was a bit of a pipe dream, I suppose, because finished my public school, meant to go to university. I said to my mum, I want a year off. I don't want to go to university. I've been away in boarding school since 8 years old, or whatever, 7 or 8 years old, and I'm going to have a year at home. And that summer, I got a job that winter. My dad got me a job with a friend of his in a steel rock crushing, building rock crushers in Leicester.
I bet that was labour.
I was outdoor labour. Yeah, literally, I was the boy who went on in the parts area, fetching all the pieces for these enormous rock crushers on the back of a beaten up flatbed, lorry, and no driving license at that stage either. Driving these things, with these parts, and so that I earned some money and went off to Spain early season in March to do some warm up, and then came and played the amateur circuit that summer.
Wow.
And
so you worked through the winter to fund your golf through the summer.
And mum and dad obviously helped
of
as well.
Course.
But came back, and I think that May I played in the Brabazon and finished 15th at Moortown.
Nice.
So a good start.
Yeah.
And I finished 8th in the British Youth that year. And I beat Sandy Lyle, which I'm still proud of. I played quite a bit of golf with Sandy as a junior, actually, because he's Midlands based. So on the English Golf Union coaching schemes, it's Mark James and Sandy.
Have they got their back? They've got their. I'm guessing you know these guys now. Have you moved into your career? I'm sure they've you're not going to let them forget that you beat them one time at a junior.
Well, probably trying to think if I ever beat them. Well, I beat Sandy, obviously, in the British Youth, but that was it.
But I'm sure many years after that, they've pushed it into you and said, well, actually, we've carried on to do quite a lot more.
And I suppose the thing that really decided me that I perhaps wasn't the golfer that I wanted to be was playing with Faldo, or behind Faldo, at the British Youth at Panel.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know whether you've played Panel golf.
I've not played Panel.
It's got, from memory, it's got a short par 4 downhill, last hole. And for me, it was a 5-iron all the time off the tee.
Yeah.
Don't even mess with it, out of bounds left and stuff like that. And
so you put a 5-iron down the hill and then chip and putt on?
Yeah, I play it as a par 4.
Yeah.
He's a driver all 4 days.
Oh, my goodness.
Won the thing by about, I don't know how many shots he won by.
So what year was this?
I think it was 75. I'd have to check that.
So Faldo was just dominating at that time. Similar age to you?
Yeah, he didn't really dominate because he wasn't there long enough, because he turned pro straight away, didn't he? So
straight off to America.
Yeah. So he went to the college. The 3 of them went off to college. There was Martin Pox and Sandy Lyle and Nick Faldo all went to the same college, I think. I think Sandy Lyle didn't last a month.
Really?
Yeah, and Faldo, I don't know how long he lasted. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Martin stayed there. So
So then from that point then, was that when you realised, hold on, I'm not sure if I'm going to be good enough?
Yeah, well, I knew I was good, but I hadn't managed to win the county championship, and I just wasn't quite achieving.
Yeah.
And by that stage, my dad had introduced me to another friend of his. Has amazing dads, they introduced to people, and he got me a job with a nylon sheet company in Leicester. Yeah.
Right.
I was working in the warehouse there, packing nylon sheets. A lot more civilized than
the rock
crushing out in the filthy weather.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
and was this the winter again? The winter
again. It was meant to be a winter.
Yeah.
But they were so good to me, and I got on so well with them that they said, "Well, look, if you want to come in the summer, 3 or 4 days, whenever you want, you can earn some more money." So it was amazing. It was like I'd phone up and said, "Can I come in this week?" Yeah. And
brilliant.
Yeah, so it was amazing.
Gave you a lot of flexibility.
Yeah,
so you were still dead into golf then?
Yeah, and then I impressed the sales manager by finding a load of stuff for him to, because he'd got an order and he couldn't find them, and I found these sheets in the warehouse for him, and he said, "Have you ever thought about doing some selling?" And I said, "No, absolutely no."
Yeah, that wasn't your plan.
So well, our northern sales rep is leaving, and I said, "Do you fancy spending a month with him?"
Right.
While he's working his notice.
Of course.
Because he said, because I think you could do it.
Wow.
Yeah. So I went off on this guy, Jerry Hanley, and he was a rugby league player.
Was he really?
Yeah.
He's a big fella.
Not there. I can't remember what position he played in, but I spent this, month with him, or on and off, and we had a great time, because he very quickly said to me, he said, "This is quite an easy job." He said, "It's not easy to sell nylon sheets, but they don't want to see you. You meant to have a rotation of visits to the clients. It was about every 4 weeks you're supposed to see these people in this on our circuit." And he said, "You'll learn very quickly they don't always want to see you."
Great.
So he said, "Just get a load of 10p's, a bag of 10p's, drive to the motorway service station on a Monday morning, phone them all, and see if they want you to come."
No way.
And he said, "But
I thought he was going to say for the slot machines."
And he said the key to it is picking, if you've got a bargain for them, that you let them know, and you always make them think you're looking after them.
Of course.
So
nice customer service.
Yeah, it worked perfectly, to be honest.
Did you move into that job? Did
I
become
took that job. I got a company car, and I could go and play golf as well with it.
Brilliant.
So that was absolute.
So you were playing golf when you should be at the clients, really?
Yeah.
That's the dream.
Yeah. Every now and again, I owned up to playing in a tournament because it was an important one.
Oh God, yeah.
It was actually tournaments. It wasn't just going and doing 9 holes. It was
go and play in the British Am or whatever.
Well, no one could get you on mobile back then.
No,
then,
exactly.
Could they?
Yeah, and because the sales were coming in quite happily, and I'd met a brilliant guy, Morrison's. It's a guy, Bill Cartwright was his name. He didn't
Actual Morrison's a superstore.
Supermarket. Yeah, we hadn't had a deal with them, and he was a golfer. He has been a captain of Ilkley, I think. I hope he's still alive, but he was a fantastic help to me and we got chatting, and he liked me because I was a golfer, and we got on well. And I got the first order for Morrison's for nylon sheets, and it was a big order.
Wow.
You know, and in those days, not as big as it would have been,
of course,
nowadays, but it was an introduction, and so I was absolutely, blue-eyed boy.
Exactly. You were in the good books.
Bringing in someone like that.
This sounds like the dream. You fell into a job. You've got a company car. You can play golf whenever you want. You've got no boss that can want to have a Zoom call or FaceTime. And you're out on the golf course playing golf.
What a life it was then, wasn't it?
Just a
Our
bit.
life was simple.
But I got bored.
And bored of golf or bored of the job?
Bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah, golf wasn't going as well as I wanted it to go. I got the dreaded quick hooks. And I'll tell you what, that's the equivalent of the shank.
Yeah.
If you're a good player.
Well, if you're a tournament player, you can't miss big left.
No. So then you're either missing big left or huge right.
Of course you are.
And it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
I can remember to this day, I can sitting here and I'm thinking of the first tee at Willersley Park Golf Club. It's a narrow funnel of trees.
Yeah.
And I stood on that tee. There's no way I'm going to get this ball down there.
You're taking pitching wedge out your
in the
bag.
tree on the left or absolutely right.
This
Too
sounds like you.
relatable. It's too relatable.
This sounds just like you guys.
It's horrible.
It's a nightmare, and I think every time I look at Ian Baker Finch, I think, oh my God, that tee shot he hit at St Andrews.
Yes.
He had the same thing, the yips with the driver, and it's an amazingly debilitating, destroying.
A lot of good players have had it, haven't they?
Yeah. So I was always a good putter.
Yeah.
I mean, my short game was red hot in those days.
So that's where I can't relate.
Yeah. So
in 1975, did you play? I don't know if I've jumped ahead here or not, but you played with Seve.
No, 1976.
1976.
So in May 1976, the Leicestershire Golf Club hosted a European Tour Pro-Am because tournaments would finish on Saturdays in those days.
Okay.
So the tournament finished, whatever it was being played was at, I think it's Finham Park in Coventry.
Still 4 days though?
Yeah, 4 days.
Would start on Wednesday.
Finish on Saturdays.
Okay.
Again, Sunday was supposed to be
a day of rest. Yeah.
So then at that stage, the European Tour tried to put on Pro-Ams close by to where the tournament was being held on a Sunday. And Leicestershire Golf Club was hosting this, and they very kindly gave one spot to a good player, an invitation.
And can you remember what you were playing off at this point, handicap-wise?
I was scratch.
Did plus handicap, was it around back
I
then?
can't remember, but I'm pretty sure there were less than 100 plus handicappers in those days.
Right.
I mean, it was amazing to get to a plus handicap.
Of course.
You do hear that a lot, that like, without being disrespectful, scratch back in those days was different to scratch now.
Oh my goodness, absolutely 100%. There's no doubt in my mind.
So what would you have said scratch back in the day was like a +3 handicap now?
2 plus 2 plus 3, I would think. And, anybody who got into pluses, they're the Peter McAvoys, the Nick Faldos, who were +2, maybe +3, I think, possibly. They were the guys who were shooting 65s
all the
fun.
time.
Yeah.
So you teeing it up, you're playing in this Pro-Am.
Yeah.
Do you know who you're playing with at this point?
I got drawn with Seve Ballesteros. Can you believe it?
Oh my goodness!
I know, it's so. I mean, if you've ever got a life that is done by
a script,
it's meant to happen, isn't it?
Script writer.
Yeah. So I got this guy came on the tee. Hello was possible. He barely spoke a word of English.
At this point, again, this is before mine and Guy's time.
Yeah.
How famous is he at that point in time?
So I think I had a look. Obviously, I looked him up when I knew I was drawn with.
How? You can't Google him.
You had the European Tour, the magazines. You could look back in the magazines, and I think I had a John Player yearbook or something. You could look up the results of the tournaments.
Yeah.
You see, I think he finished in the top 10 in a European Tour event the year before. So he had a little bit of.
Did you know him as the next up and coming superstar?
Well, I don't think anybody did.
No.
At that stage.
Was it as like? Did you around that time? Did you have people who were coming up like Nick Faldo, who was pipped as the next superstar, or as kind of the new world created that buzz around great players coming through?
Media in those days. You might have got the Daily Telegraph covered amateur golf like amazingly.
Yeah.
So that was. You might have had a little spot about, Michael Williams might have written something about the next up-and-coming player. Faldo was obviously amazingly, he burst onto the scene and was instantly amazing.
Yeah.
Sandy Lyle had been amazing from a 14-year-old.
Of course.
So Mark James had been winning everything in the Midlands as an amateur.
And do you think someone like Seve coming from Spain, there wasn't that buzz around. Like if he was maybe living in England at the time,
it would have been a huge buzz, I think, for us then.
But back in the day, because he was over in Spain, you didn't really know a lot about him.
And golf in Spain was very much the rich people's game.
Yeah,
it wasn't. I mean, he had a hard enough time getting to play in the first place anyway.
Yeah, of course.
And I think I just knew if you just way someone hits a golf ball, and I was longish. I was not very straight.
Yeah,
never very straight off the tee, but.
Neither was Seve, to be fair, was it? Was it his strength?
That day, I putted him off the course, is all I can say. Yeah.
But everything else he dominated.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Off the tee was amazing.
40 yards past me.
Really?
Yeah, and the sound of the strike was, you know, you're obviously good players.
Of course.
You know, when you just close your eyes beside someone. Faldo, when you closed your eyes beside him, amazing noise. Same with Ballesteros and Sandy, were all incredible.
Well, I had one story with that. I was up at I was up at Trump International a couple of years ago, and it was the same week as the Scottish Open. I was on the driving range hitting balls, and someone behind me was hitting. I'm like, God, that sounds good. Like that sounds.
They do.
That sounds really good. I turn around, it's Phil Mickelson, and you just like the sound was just different.
You have like elite player, then you have tour player, which is obviously pure. Then you have that handful, don't you? Again, your Rorys, your Phil Mickelsons, your Seves in the day, and it's just different again. You can't put your finger on what it is. It's just hit.
Just sounded so good. So you were out there playing with him.
Yeah.
He scores better than you, I guess.
Well, we were about the same, I think. We didn't do very well as a team. I remember that. I think I shot around about level or something, but only because I putted him off the course, you know. But Pro-Ams, they're not really that interested, are they?
It's a Sunday.
Yeah.
He's just played in the tournament.
Yeah.
He's kind of doing it for a sponsored piece or whatever it is.
And I mean,
so what did you take away from that round, though?
Just strike, purely, and charisma.
Yeah,
you know, there was charisma already. There was charisma.
Really?
Yeah.
Good with you.
Very nice to me. Yeah.
And even though he couldn't speak loads of English at that point,
but it was just fun, you know. And it was like the round went far too quickly, as far as I was concerned.
Of course.
But then, obviously, that sticks in your mind, doesn't it? And then 2 months later, Royal Birkdale.
Yeah.
And you know, he's leading the Open with 1 round to play by 2 shots.
Goodness.
And it's like, what?
I was playing with him.
Yeah, I played with him 2 months
before. 2 months ago.
Yeah, and I remember
I putting him off the golf course.
Yeah, I remember I was playing in a competition at home club that weekend, and it was a 36-holer on the Saturday, and I remember coming at lunchtime. What's happening? He hadn't even teed off, you know. So I get in at the end of the day, and
you've already played 36.
No, I'm played 36, and he's still on the course.
Oh right, okay, sorry, he's not finished
round.
yet.
Yeah. And I hear he's about 5 shots off, and I'm thinking, oh God, you know. But it was kind of predictable, I suppose, because he had been all over the golf course for 3 days and was still
scrambled and saved himself.
But then he finishes eagle birdie to finish second.
Oh my goodness, who won that year?
Johnny Miller.
Okay, yeah.
And Johnny Miller shot 65, I think, in the final round.
Wow.
So brilliant, and he was playing with Seve. And, you know,
2 very different games, I guess.
Oh yeah.
It was the month later he won his first event on the European Tour by 8.
Yeah, Dutch
Open.
Yeah, and that was one of the fun things about this book, was that I actually found some pictures from the Dutch Open, which I've never seen before. You know, a friend in Holland put me onto an archive, and
it's amazing.
We dug up some pictures of him playing.
So did you feel at the time, you know, he's a bit of an unknown, you've played golf with him in a Pro-Am, and obviously he's then leading the Open. Two months later he goes and wins the Dutch Open or whatever by 8 shots. Did you almost feel like an attachment to him, because it was almost like
absolutely
like you're rooting for him? Like, do you know what I mean?
I root for him from that very, very day that I played with him at Leicestershire Golf Club.
He's like I've experienced it a couple of times where I've spent time with players who are in their infancy and they're learning the trade and they go on to do great things and play on European Tour. I'm always following him on social media and stuff now. I'm like, God, I hope he's doing well. And obviously you had that similar without the social media back in the 70s, where you were like, Seve's my boy.
Yeah,
I played with him.
Yeah, totally. Always will be as well.
Well, you've mentioned this. He is your idol of idols, isn't he?
Yeah, sporting hero. Yeah. But he's, he's electric in every sense.
So I feel like we've covered so much so far, and we've not talked about one click of a camera.
We've set the scene nicely, haven't we? I knew this was going to be a long one, but it's going to be a good one.
So how did David Cannon the world-renowned #1 golf photographer. How did that begin? Where did this all come from?
Well, yeah. Okay, back to my study at school.
Yeah.
Sports pictures all over the wall.
Yeah. Tony Jacklin,
Leicester City
football team. Who's the players back then?
Well, we had Mike Stringfellow and Lenny Glover, David.
I don't know.
I like how you asked that, Rick. So there's no way that you're going to know Leicester players in the 1960s.
I'm thinking, the only one I know is probably Gary Lineker.
Jamie Vardy.
Peter Shilton. You'd know Peter
Shilton.
Yeah, we had a decent team.
Yeah.
Yeah, Keith Weller. Was a load of them.
So then you had these posters up, and you admired the photography. You liked the pictures.
Yeah, I like pictures. Yeah.
Had an interest in cameras yourself?
Not really. I had a godmother who'd given me a Kodak Instamatic in a box set, which I was very proud of.
Really?
Yeah. And
I'm guessing that's pretty big.
No, tiny.
Oh, right.
I mean, a Kodak Instamatic is like your...
Oh, like a wind-up?
Yeah.
Like a wind-up?
You know, those
camera?
Do you remember the cassettes of film you used to get?
Yeah,
you probably don't remember them.
I do remember them, roughly.
I think I've still got that camera somewhere.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And I remember on family holiday lying beside... We went northwest of Scotland for the second week after we'd done Nairn. And they had a salmon river up in Loch Inver. And there's a beautiful walk up this thing. And at certain times of the year, the salmon leap.
Swimming upstream.
Yeah, and are leaping. And I remember lying, while we were having a picnic, I'm lying there with this camera up to my eye, waiting to try and catch a salmon in leap.
Wow. Did you do it?
I got one, but it's a big blur because, Kodak Instamatic, the quality of it, it wasn't going to... But it's right up out of the water.
Wow.
So I suppose that's one sort of sign of things to come.
Yeah.
But then again, my father, you've got to put it down to that. So he introduced... He was in advertising in Leicester, and Leicester Publicity Club was a big thing of his. And I went to a dinner with him, with my mum, and he introduced me to a guy called Neville Chadwick. And Neville became my sort of godfather of photography, basically.
Wow.
And I got chatting to him, and he said, we do all the Leicester City and Leicester Tigers.
Brilliant. So you were like...
photography. And, it's sort of like litter touch paper.
Yeah.
And... I remember him saying to him, he said to me, well, if you want to come down for a game, you can sit with my cameras. In those days, it was like that. People were able to take a friend to sit beside them.
Yeah, where now you'd need health and safety, you'd need the right access.
You couldn't do it,
Unless you got a pass.
Well, yeah, Photo Messenger is the only way you do that nowadays. And then they've got to run the disc back to the people who are editing for you. But, so he said, and I remember because of my company car, I had my own little Mini that I sort of
what it was?
Sat on the drive at
Brilliant.
home, just gathering dust.
Full of 10p's inside it.
No, this was the Mini. No,
after?
The company car was a Ford Cortina or whatever we got given in those days. I went through Ford Cortina, Granadas, all those sort of swanky cars.
Yeah. But your run around was a little Mini.
That's what I had when I'd been playing golf.
But you're a big guy.
Yeah,
you're tall.
Knees either side of the steering wheel. But this little thing got me all around the country.
Wow.
Yeah, WRY282J. I can
you can still remember the license
number
plate.
Yeah.
That's class.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And anyway, I decided to sell her.
Right, to buy a camera.
So this is, and I did that, and I went to Jessop's in Leicester. I was lucky because Jessop's of Leicester, major, huge camera store.
Yeah, well, still around now, aren't they, Jessop's?
And Alan Jessop was a member of the Leicestershire Golf Club.
No way.
Yeah, he said, "Come down."
The guy who owns Jessop's.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Was a member at the time, and
he talked about your life being scripted. This does sound very scripted.
So
at the moment.
He said, "Come down to the shop, and we'll
look after you.
Look at what cameras you might choose." Being Canon,
of course,
surname,
of course, spelled slightly differently. Is it just one N?
One N, yeah.
Is the camera?
And there was a Canon AE1 was just come out, which was basically the start of major semi-electronic cameras from being totally, you wouldn't call them manual, but cameras didn't have batteries up to that stage other than the winders.
Wow.
So this was the first electronic built-in meter.
And what year was this?
78.
Okay.
So I bought one of these AE1s and a small telephoto lens as well to go with it.
That must have been expensive.
It was very expensive.
What, the price of a Mini?
Yes, price of a Mini, basically. Best thing I ever did in my life.
You didn't have. Were you still working at the nylon place?
Yeah.
So you still had the company car.
I was still selling my nylon sheets, and instead of going to play golf now, I used to do. Because I'll accelerate a little bit. Because anyway, I started. Neville said, "Come down." First thing I went to with him was East Midlands were playing the All Blacks.
Okay.
The All Blacks were touring, and I still don't remember whether it was 77 or 78, but one of those winters, and at Welford Road.
So like East Midlands was a. It was
the touring matches. You know, when the touring side came over, they'd play the internationals at weekends, and the second team would play clubs or regional.
Is it kind of like a training exercise as much as anything? And
no, I think it was part of the tour. You know, it was the way it's like a Lions tour,
right?
You know, the Lions tour, they have the test matches, and then they play the provinces.
Okay, yeah. I'm not massive
midweek,
into rugby, but
but they play midweek. They play the provinces for the guys who aren't getting the matches with the first team.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So this was kind of what it was. It was the All Blacks B team, still pretty big.
Yeah.
Because I remember I sat in the corner, and Neville said to me, he said, "Right, Dave, you sit in the corner, look after my cameras." And I got my cameras. He said, "Yeah, here's a couple of rolls of film." And he said, two things: fill the frame and focus on the eyes.
And that was it.
That was it. Yeah.
The rest is history.
Well, I sat there, and there was one moment in the game where Les Cusworth was the scrum half for the East Midlands team, and he's trying to hook a ball out the scrum, and this massive All Blacks sort of like about to flatten him. And I went click, and I thought, well, that might be quite a nice picture. And when we go back, because it also in those days, it was very much NUJ controlled.
What does that mean?
National Union of Journalists. If you weren't a member of the National Union of Journalists, you could not get pictures published from live events in newspapers. So
that's why the press, the photographers almost looked after themselves to a degree.
Well, sort of, yeah, but it's the way that the business had gone, and they looked after the photographers effectively.
Okay. Yeah.
And because it was made sure that people got paid properly for pictures.
Of course.
And used to have an NUJ approved wireman. So in order to send a picture to a newspaper, it had to go through this wireman. You couldn't do it as a photographer. You had to go use a wireman to do it.
And what does the wireman do?
He puts the print on a drum.
Right.
Because you had to make a print first, and then you had to put a print on a drum, and then it would take 7 minutes for a black and white, or 21 minutes for a colour, 3 separations for the colour, where the picture spins round very fast, and there's a little scanner that runs right across the picture, and then that's transmitted down a phone line to the newspaper. Yeah, and then it's produced the other end. They have to develop it out the other end.
How much quality was lost?
Oh, quite a bit.
A lot.
Yeah. It was a real mission to transmit pictures.
I can't believe how in such a short space of time, really, how it's changed to what it is today.
It's bonkers. I mean, I've been right through the change. It's been amazing when you look at it.
But has it, when you obviously you look back now to 78 and that's what happened, but in that time frame, has it felt like massive leaps and bounds, or has it just been slowly but surely just better and better and better?
Slowly but surely it got better. Once I got really serious about doing photography, and Neville had introduced me to a guy called Bob Thomas, who had a football agency in 1981.
Okay.
And I've still been selling my nylon sheets and doing all sorts of jobs for Neville for nothing, because I loved doing it, and he'd loved having me around because not many people wanted to do night football. He had a studio photographer there who actually hated having to go to night games
to do live events.
Yeah, and I, with my company car, I'd sort of wangle it if Leicester City were playing away at Rotherham or somewhere like that. That I'd time it, that I could do the match in the evening for him.
Perfect.
Yeah, so it was fantastic, and I was still doing well selling sheets.
That was funding your and was photography your hobby at this point? Would you say, or were you actually?
It already become a bit. I hadn't made any money. No,
okay.
It's purely a hobby in that term. And on Sundays, instead of playing golf, I'd go to Mallory Park because they used to have the bikes there, and I remember Barry Sheen used to come 3 times a year. He'd race at Mallory Park. All the top motorbike, and I loved motorbike.
Did you really?
I thought it was amazing because the angles they get, and it was such a cool thing to do. And again, access in those days was bonkers.
Was it?
You could get into spots you would never dream of nowadays.
Because of health and safety or things like that. Certainly with motorbikes.
Yeah, and you had to be sensible. You don't go on the outside of anything because that's dangerous. But if you can get on the inside, and some of the inside, you can really get them looking right at you.
While the bike tilted.
45 and more degrees.
Oh my God, knees on the tarmac.
Yeah, and what cool guys they were.
Wow.
I mean, I remember bringing a print because I got a really nice one of Barry, and I thought, I'll take a print down to him. I gave it to him, and he took me into his caravan, cup of tea,
Well, you're giving them something. You're giving them value.
Yeah.
Like you are taking it, because everybody loves an amazing picture of themselves.
Yeah.
Like whether it's doing something, whether it's capturing a moment,
Yeah.
whether it's just capturing even wedding pictures and things like that.
Yeah.
Like I feel like a photographer holds so much value to the person who having the picture taken of, So obviously you were going into these motorbikers and going, look at this amazing picture we've got for you.
Yeah.
They were going, come on, David, come have a look
Absolutely.
at the bike and come.
Can you imagine trying to do that nowadays? You wouldn't get past the garage. You won't get past the wall outside the garage,
not
basically.
at
So
all.
it's changed massively.
Yeah.
I was very lucky that period was, and colour photography was still difficult in those days.
Was it really?
Yeah, because your slide film, it was so critical for exposure, and you had to have your camera settings spot on. Manual focus is another thing. There was no autofocus in those days.
Oh my goodness!
And those big lenses that we use, at a range, certainly something like the Sevi picture, 30 meters away from him.
Wow!
You've got about this much depth of focus on those long lenses.
Wow!
If you're not in that thing, it's out of focus, and it's no
and then
good.
From taking a picture, whereas now with obviously mobile phones and actual cameras with the screens, you can see instantly really if it's a good picture. From taking a picture, how long would it be before you know if it's actually any good or not?
Well, that black and white I got Les Cusworth. The back end of that story
was that the New Zealand
the rugby game. Yeah. So Neville took my 2 rolls of film he'd got, because he used to get 5 rolls on a tank that he used to process. He had to wind them in the dark onto a reel, process them, and then get them out, dry them, and
that's what you see, like almost like in old school movies when you used to hang them on a clothesline.
Yeah, exactly that. It was literally that.
Wow.
And he had a red light, because for some reason red light. And again, I'm not very technical. I'm a self-taught photographer.
Wow.
So done by trial and error.
Right.
But here he comes out. He's got 2 spare space for 2 more reels on his tank. Give me a roll. Okay, roll and a half, and he comes out and he's whistling away. That's quite a nice picture. And he phones me up the next morning and he says, "Go and buy the Sunday Express." And there it was. It's under Neville's name because I
had because of the NUJ. Did you say?
NUJ, yeah. And but yeah, it was in the Sunday Express.
My God. How did that
Imagine
make
me
you
going around the golf club and showing.
Yeah, was that bittersweet then?
No, God, I was just thrilled to get it used.
How did it make you feel? Just over the moon?
Oh yeah, my mum was absolutely wetting herself, literally.
Really?
Yeah.
And was that the start? Was that the moment you thought, yeah, this could be something I really move into?
Oh, from that moment on, it was really, that was it.
So you've gone rugby, football,
loads of Leicester City, Gary Lineker as a youngster, those sort of things. Yeah.
You've gone into motorbike.
Yeah, motorbike was all hobby.
Just a bit of a hobby.
It was all hobby. But then I got this job with Bob Thomas, he's a major football photographer at that stage. And that was the learning curve. That was 18 months. I learnt 90% of what I still know nowadays in that 18 months.
And that was shooting football?
Football. Within 3 months of joining Bob, I was doing my first World Cup qualifying game in Belgium.
Wow.
And that year I went to Central America, Honduras, El Salvador, doing World Cup qualifying games, South America, literally.
And had you travelled much before this?
Not really.
You were just out on your own?
Imagine what it's like, And I got sent to the practice round of the Masters as well.
Did you honestly?
Yeah.
In that trip?
Word.
Yeah.
So what was
not
the first
on that trip, but on another trip.
What was the first year you went to the Masters?
I went to practice rounds in 1982.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I went again in 1983. By that stage, I'd moved to all sport at that stage.
When you say all sports, you were shooting at anything. Well,
all sport was a high end, run by 2 guys, Tony Duffy and Steve Powell. They were, I always loved looking at pictures.
Yeah.
And I'd worship these 2 guys because I'd seen their sports pictures in every sports magazine, Sunday supplements, all colour. That all we do was shoot was colour.
Yeah.
Whereas. And then because colour slide film would take over an hour to process, was a very critical process. You couldn't do it in tanks. So it was very, very critical processing, and
much harder to do.
Yeah, and we'd come back from a football game, process the slide film, make dupes. That was probably on Tuesday afternoon after the game on a Saturday. Send them out. They'd be going to the magazines for Thursday, so 4 or 5 days after a game football.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So it was not same day, not next day.
No.
4 or 5 days later.
4 or 5 days
wow.
later, yeah.
So when was the point golf became the focus?
Well, the reason for my move to all sport was they said to me, right, you can shoot football during the winter,
yeah,
and golf in the summer.
And did they say that to you because they knew your golf background?
Well, yeah, I'd also shown them some pictures I'd taken of. I mean, I'd sneaked off to the World Match Play in 81 or 82 when I was still with Bob, and did some pictures there, and I got them quietly in my folio when I tried to get a job with All Sport.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I said, this is what I love doing. And
so who did you take pictures of then?
Well, Seve was big, Faldo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to think of Nicholas Watson.
Wow.
Yeah, World Match Play was an amazing tournament.
And that was in the UK?
Yeah, at Wentworth.
Ah.
Always at the end of the season, usually end of September, and it would be the top 8 or 16 players in the world.
Every year it was there?
Yeah.
I knew it was match play at one point, but I didn't realise it was
World
like
Match Play, yeah.
Was that almost like the start of the WGC almost back then, or not really?
I suppose it could be taken to be a precursor
yeah.
of that, yeah.
Wow.
But it was fantastic. Palmer would play in it.
Oh,
Gary Player won it a load of times.
Unbelievable field.
Yeah, 70s, 80s, and I think we were still shooting it in the late 90s.
So that's when you first you jumped on there, took a few snaps, thinking I might move that into the future.
Yeah.
And then you started with All Sports.
Yeah.
And they said there's an opportunity for golf now.
Yeah.
And you took it.
I took it, absolutely, yeah. I did my first, I had really already done the Open with Bob Thomas at Troon in 82.
Nice.
So that was my first official Open. And obviously in the summer of 83 with All Sport, Birkdale, Tom Watson bursting through the crowds on the 18th, yeah. And
did you find it different to shooting your football? Because obviously with football you've got a pitch, everything's in front of you. Yeah. With golf, you've got to be moving so much.
It's very different, and if I've worked with some amazing sports photographers who love doing football. Yeah, you take them to a golf tournament and they're in bits.
I bet they are, because they're like, well, I've got 18 holes to play with.
And it's hard work.
It is,
and it's a bloody long day because
you're carrying a big camera around.
The best light is first hour, last hour.
Okay,
so that's my real witching hour. If I had, when I want the best players out on a golf course, it's in the first hour or the last hour, which is quite rare.
You normally get probably last hour more than you would first hour.
Yeah, but even then, not often the big players. It's other golfers, because at the end of the field, TV matches will have finished before that. So that's why the Open's so good, because it's late finishes. So you can get some nice light and early start, 6:30 in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. Some of these guys are teeing off, but that's a long day. And you suddenly saying to a football photographer, well, you turn up at 6:30.
Oh yeah.
You might finish us at 9 if you're lucky.
And it's not 90 minutes.
No, and you
don't get a little break halfway round.
And you've got to walk.
Oh my
over
goodness.
some humpy hills. So it's quite a hard thing.
But you found it worth it just because you loved it. Because
I love golf, yeah. So it's in my blood, obviously.
And I'm guessing you picked it up pretty naturally to photograph.
I think so, yeah.
Golfers.
Yeah. And I think I have an advantage because I know what I'm looking for as a golfer.
Yeah.
So I've had that very much in the back of my mind.
And would you say other sports photographers that you were working around at the time maybe weren't as knowledgeable about golf potentially?
Oh, they'd openly admit that.
Right.
Yeah.
They were just other sports photographers.
Golf's a difficult one.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you know it, you've got a big advantage. But I've always said to people, if you want to learn to be a sports photographer, football's the one to learn on, though.
Because it's just all in front of you, isn't it?
Well, not so much that. It's just that every single football game is totally different. It's not predictable in any way.
No.
You do not know what type of corner they're going to play.
No.
If you go into America to do a pro football in America, it's kind of predictable. The third down 99 times out of 100, they're going to throw it to a wide receiver or whatever.
Yeah.
But football, you don't get that.
They almost want the unexpected, don't they, to catch the opponent out.
Anything can happen in a split second. You're going to get an overhead kick or sliding tackle, or goals come out of a great pass, and it's fast, and it's going every which way.
Yeah.
So manual focus in those days, it was really hard to be a good football photographer.
Wow.
But if you got the ability to follow focus, you had a huge advantage.
I bet.
And that can transcend every single sport that you do.
The focus.
Yeah, the manual focus in those days. Now it's a bit different because the cameras are so incredible. The autofocus systems, they're eye controlled. It's like
easier.
With obviously like the golf photography, like goes out saying that when a golfer's got a putt to win the Open or they're showing some real emotion or something, then that's kind of what you're looking for. But on like a random Thursday, what is it then that you're really trying to capture?
I'm looking for a great swing shot, nice light. I always look for nice light.
Yeah.
Backgrounds and light.
And are you then, when you're working at a golf event now, and I'm kind of jumping ahead of time now, somebody recruited you, do they give you a shot list that you're kind of working off?
I mean, I've been lucky working for All Sport. I was very much my own man.
Yeah.
So I was literally able to decide who I would photograph, where I wanted to do it. And then I've been through a spell working with Getty Images where we got so successful with golf. We are, renowned as the place to go for golf pictures anywhere in the world. But we tend to work as big teams.
Okay.
And because of that, you kind of have to allocate what you do in a day. So it's a bit more luck of the draw as to which game you get, what happens.
I get you.
You can't pick and choose. I want to be with that group for 18
hours.
Yeah,
it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that.
You got to work as a team to get the best shots. Yeah. There's a lot to cover.
Yeah.
I guess it's more governed. I'm guessing you're not allowed to be out there from 6:30 in the morning till 11 o'clock at night.
You can if you want. Jesus.
Oh, you can you?
Oh, yeah. There's nobody stopping us.
I thought it'd be more rules and regulations behind it all.
No, I don't wish it was, because I think, I'm more happy out there than I am sat at a computer editing or something like that. Yeah.
Right, we need to reset again and go right. So, I have so much to follow. I'm loving this story so far. Obviously, 80s, you're into golf. You've done a couple of Open Championships, and then is this where you go? Did you move in exclusively into golf at this point as well?
No, that didn't happen till probably early 90s.
Okay.
After the 1990 World Cup.
Right.
Because I'd have to be on.
Is that USA?
No, well, 1990 was Italy.
Italy.
Yeah. So the famous Gascoigne picture.
Oh, yeah.
Which is another good one I've got.
Did you get that?
Yeah, I've got. Funnily enough, it's from the Belgium game. He was crying with emotion that they'd won.
Right.
He did exactly the same thing as he did in the semi-final. So I actually reap the benefit of that sometimes, because the pictures are almost identical.
Wow.
Yeah, but my version is from the Belgium game when they actually won.
It was tears of success, not tears of failure.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He was an amazing guy to photograph as well.
He was, because he showed so much emotion.
Yeah, and he was so good as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was, great. But, so where we got to there?
So I was saying more exclusively to golf.
Yeah, so I'm back in... and unfortunately, I'd been at both Heysel and Hillsborough disasters.
Oh, wow.
So I suppose the allure of club football had suddenly become a little bit...
tarnished, maybe?
Yeah, very much so. And I think I did the World Cups because they wanted me as a good football photographer to do the World Cups.
Yeah.
But golf at that stage, I'd been lucky enough to have had all those major winners in the 80s. And golf had become a huge part of the company, and it was ripe for growth, basically.
Yeah.
And I was already a director of All Sport at that stage, and we made a decision that I was just going to really try and push golf and build the business.
Right.
And technology was beginning to change. The first digital transmitters were just coming into the business, and it was starting to get quite interesting. We could, the digital transmitters were, instead of having to do the drum transmitting of pictures, you had these big, huge, they're Hasselblad boxes at that stage, and they weighed an absolute ton. But it could do a colour picture in 7 minutes.
Okay, where it was
21, was it?
Yeah. If the phone line had dropped in the 21s, you had to start straight over again. But on these digital ones, you could, reset it and it'd go back to where it got to before.
Do you ever look at younger photographers now? I know it sounds like a bit of a cliche, but think they don't know how lucky they are with how quick and instant it actually is.
But I feel like we're lucky now.
But I think I'm lucky because we had an amazing spell in those 80s and 90s, shooting colour photography, and the technology was so enormous, the changes. Suddenly we're working for national newspapers because we're able to transmit our pictures quickly, and suddenly the exposure for our pictures is so much more.
So, in those days, I'm guessing the pinnacle for you would be have your picture on the back page of a newspaper.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that still the same today, or has that changed?
I still love that, obviously. I mean, the Sunday Telegraph did a great spread the other day on the Sevi book, and it's just like so good.
I bet.
Open a double page almost in the sports section, and you're thinking, this is what it was like. We don't get that now. At the golf magazines, we've lost Golf International, we've lost Golf Monthly, Golf World. They still cease to be published.
Gone.
And the days of opening a magazine and looking at a double page spread,
it's gone on it.
It's sad.
So
it's a big change.
Online more.
And that's why books, you can still do them, can't you?
Bit off topic. Have you done much of this NFT stuff then recently?
What's that?
These I don't really
non-transferable,
non-fungible tokens, isn't it? It's like where the actual somebody can buy the actual image. I don't massively understand it. I need to do a bit more research.
Own it. So basically, I think from what I understand is you would take a image, let's say that's Sevi image that you've taken, you would almost give the rights up to somebody else, from what I believe.
I think it's that, and then it's like there's like a certificate with it and stuff like that.
And it can go up in value. Like you almost pass over the responsibility to someone else, then they own it, obviously for a great fee.
Yeah, well, you can do that with prints, can't you? You can do limited edition with prints. I know a number of photographers, so that's how they work. Is that they get a great picture, especially sort of wildlife guys, get a great picture, and they say, right, we're going to print 12 of these, and that's it.
Right, okay, and that's limited
and they can
edition.
go for thousands of pounds. So you can do that, but for us, it's no value in that really, because we're selling these pictures all over the world.
Of course,
the Getty Images sales tool is unique,
incredible.
Yeah, unbelievable.
I'm just looking at it now. There's so many. I think you've got 170,000 pictures on there or something.
Yeah, and
you have.
Yeah,
you've got 170,000.
This is correct. So David Cannon, 177,539 premium high-res photos.
Yeah, and you could probably add another 50,000 slides that haven't been scanned yet.
Nice.
So someone can buy. So I could buy that print.
You can buy it through the website. Yeah.
And would the Getty Images be taken off then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
you can buy a print, but you can also, if you want to use it for publication, then you download the full-size file, and you're charged at that point.
I get you.
Yeah, so that's how it works.
So
Joe Public can come onto our site and right-click, and you can get the image with the Getty Images watermark on, but it's a low res.
Yeah.
So that's the way it's done.
Does it annoy you, Google Images?
I don't know. It's an interesting question, that, because it's a way of getting your pictures out there, and if it's the one with the watermark on, your name's on it, and the source is there.
Do people not just like crop it out?
You can crop it out, but then again, they're only going to get low res.
They're not good quality.
I suppose
they're all right for screen res, or screen res to a point, like mobile phone, but even on a laptop, you'd notice a massive quality.
It's probably a different audience, because if you're a school kid doing a presentation on Tiger Woods, that one might be a right-click and save job. But if you want a proper picture of Tiger and any Els, you want that in full high-res.
If you want it for a print, you've got to... or for a reproduction in a magazine or whatever.
So there's a fee on that. Well, obviously, there's a fee on that picture there. If I wanted to just buy the rights to that to have, it's that price. If that the same, if I wanted to put into a book as well, or do you have to then pay?
Different prices.
It's dearer again or whatever.
Or less probably for a book.
Oh, would it?
Yeah.
All right.
So books are a bit more not reasonable, but we sort of like. There's prices structures done for everything. Advertising is the big one. That's where you're going to make your most money.
Because they're selling something using that product.
It's been associated with the product.
Yeah.
And then the books are probably volume, and the history, because books are all about history.
Of course.
The moments and event, split seconds of people's career and lives. And that's what I always say to people. That's what I'm capturing, is split seconds of people's lives. Whereas a video photographer or videographer is capturing
a moving
moment. Whereas I think the power of the still image is still huge.
I do love pictures. I mean, obviously I live in a world of video. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I live in but I still love, like, you dropped this Sevi book off for us, and which we really thank you for. Thanks so much for that. I spent about 10 minutes before us chatting just flicking through the pictures. I mean, I just love pictures, and some of these ones in this book are just unbelievable. We will come on to Sevi, definitely. I want to ask a few questions. Favourite picture you've ever taken? Is it easy? Question.
That's number one.
That's number one. So describe this for everybody listening.
Yeah.
Describe this picture for us.
So it's the final hole, the Open Championship at St Andrews, 1984.
Yeah.
And final round, and I followed Sevi a lot of the way, and he's taken his jumper off most of the round, so he's in a white shirt, which is bad news for a colour photographer.
Of course.
We don't like white shirts. We don't like black shirts, and we don't like white shirts.
You like colour.
We like colour. So anyway.
Does the white shirt blend in with the background sometimes too much?
It's just hard because it's
harder to focus on.
Hard to expose properly. Because you can underexpose the face. And when you're shooting slide film, you had to be absolutely critical on the exposure on their faces.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way that the picture would be usable.
I get you.
So anyway, he's put his jumper back on by the end of the round, and I'm much happier.
Yeah,
I'm walking down 18. He's hit his drive down the middle of 18. And I'm absolutely nervous as a kitten.
Really?
Because, this is my guy. This is my guy.
This is your man. This is you played with, 8 years earlier? Was that 84?
Yeah, 8 years.
76.
Only 8 years. And then,
but you've seen him in those 8 years. He's become a superstar.
Yeah, he's won already at that stage 3 majors by that stage. So, and I hadn't been any one of those majors. That's the weird thing about it.
Really?
I wasn't at the US Masters in 80 or 83.
Right.
And I wasn't at the Open in 79.
Wow, so this is your first Open.
First Open.
With your contention. Man. He's your man.
Yeah, he's in contention. I'm going down the right-hand side of St Andrews. It's double fairways, and it's not strict, but in those days it was less strict. Keeping near to the spectators. On the right-hand side of the fairway, and he hits his second shot onto the green.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking, right, I'm going to get up there quickly, so I hurtle up the side to the back of the green, and we're on the bank. We're allowed inside the green fence in that year, which now we have to go behind the green fence.
Well, because there's big grandstands there now, isn't there?
Well, there were big grandstands then, but there weren't so many photographers.
I get you.
If there were 30 photographers at an Open Championship, that would have been
really
the most.
And how many is there now, do you reckon?
In the peak of the Tiger Woods, late 90s, early 2000, probably 150 were applying.
Wow.
Well, more were applying, but 150 were
allowed in.
Yeah, so it was quite civilized in effect. And I just found this spot. I saw where his ball was, and I thought, right, I'm going to sit here. I could have gone all the way around and been straight at him, which, probably on reflection, if I'd gone that way, it would have been a great picture as well, because if I've seen versions from straight at the...
But would you have had the town in the background a bit more there?
A little bit, yeah. But what you wouldn't have had is that lovely out of focus background.
It's ridiculous, great.
And that's me and a colour photographer, and that's kind of what we were looking for at All Sport. It was that type of photograph.
So are they the crowd in the background? Are they almost behind the Swillen
They're down
bridge?
The other side of the fairway,
literally.
So they're probably 80, 90, 100 yards behind him.
18th, left side of the 18th, or almost the first?
They're the right side of the first.
Right, okay.
So left side of 18.
Yeah.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah.
So when he's doing that pose, and if people listening, this is the famous one. Sevi's just knocked it in for par. Birdie. Because it only just went in, didn't it?
Oh my God! It took
just
so
dropped
long.
in.
There's another part of the story is I'm sat there, and I don't know, something inside me said put a fresh roll of film in. So I had put a fresh roll of film in, number one.
Wow.
And
is that better for pictures or not really?
No, it doesn't make any difference. But it means you've got 36
to
play with, and the cameras in those days were 4 or 5 frames a second.
Right.
So I had a total 8 seconds to play with maximum.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and he stood there, hits this putt. But crowd, all you're looking at, you can't see whether the ball's going in, so you're looking at him, and the noise. You can tell something's going to happen.
Of course,
the volume is and then it almost hangs on the edge, and it just drops.
It does.
It's like Destino or whatever Sevi said. He willed it into the hole, and then he starts there, and there's a huge fist pump straight towards the clubhouse, which is where I wasn't sitting.
Yeah.
Inside I'm thinking, oh shit, I've missed this.
Yeah.
And then next minute he stands there and he starts pumping away like this.
Oh my goodness.
That's where that sequence, and that's very near the end of the roll of film. And probably 2 frames later, ran out of film.
And did you know?
I knew that was potentially.
Did you know?
I didn't know I'd exposed it right. I didn't know that I'd focused it right, because as I say, 4 or 5 inches of latitude on the focusing.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm sat there, I rewound the film, made very careful rewind. Because if you open that back of that camera by mistake,
gone.
The whole film's gone.
Because it's exposed to light.
Yeah, exactly. So, made sure that film was properly rewound. You did on a power drive, would rewind it electronically, but then I just got the manual and make sure that that's spinning easily, so I know it's all gone in. Yeah, mark the roll of film with a Sharpie, and goes into a very special place in my. I had one of those jackets in those days, zipped it up. I knew it was safe. Then we did the presentation.
Oh my God!
Which was lovely.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, great. And then I wasn't supposed to drive home till the next day because I'd done a whole day's work, and I'm thinking, drive back leisurely on Monday because there was no rush.
Back to Leicester.
London.
That's a long drive then, isn't it?
Back to London.
London, because the office is in London.
All sports offices.
Yeah. South London, Morden. And something inside me said, I need to see this picture. So I drove overnight.
Oh my days.
Exactly. And got to the office about 7 a.m, and the darkroom guy was in, luckily, because it came in early, because Monday morning was the big rush.
Of course, because all the weekend
there were
sports.
4 or 5 of us who worked for All Sport in those days.
Yeah.
4 or 5 photographers film to process.
Yeah.
And that was.
And you went, I'm going first.
That was a whole week's work there. So I probably had 50 rolls of film, 60 rolls of film with me.
But you started with that one.
Started with that one, but I didn't process the whole roll. This is the key thing in those days, because if I knew that was a critical picture, I thought the exposure is so important. I said to John G, famous name because he's our darkroom manager.
John G. Like G-E-E?
No, Gachigi.
Oh, right, okay.
He's a Kenyan guy, brilliant guy. I said, do me a clip test, which is where he cuts off about 4 inches, 5 inches, probably to frame 4 or something.
Yeah.
And I'd hit a couple of frames of him just lining up his putt.
Yeah.
Purely because I thought, just in case, I'd do this. And we processed that. You had to wait an hour and a half for that process clip to come out. Fine. I was spot on.
Yeah.
So next thing is focus. So I said, right, process next. So I didn't see that film probably till 11 o'clock Monday morning.
Wow.
Yeah. And you think nowadays it's literally back of the camera.
It would be 2 seconds.
Yeah. And then you press a button, it's transmitted to the office. It can be on the out on the web within 3 minutes.
Well, people expect as soon as a trophy's lifted at a tournament, you get pictures straight after, don't you? Straight all across social media.
The way the business is now, it's the fastest picture is the one that gets used.
Not always the best.
Not always the best. Really speed is a huge part of the business now, whereas in those days, so leisurely. I just think back to those days and I think...
So you got this picture.
Yeah.
And then did it get printed?
So that day, obviously, we made dupes, which are copies.
Yeah.
So we made probably about 36 or something like that of each. I'd choose a set of 20 pictures from the Open for the whole week. 20 pictures.
Oh.
Yeah,
And how many do you reckon you've taken?
So 50 times 36, 1,500, roughly maximum 2,000 pictures.
And you used 20?
Yeah, probably a few more afterwards. But for a rush that we'd send out to magazines, the Open, maybe 40. Might have got 40. And so I was so pleased with it. And I knew that the headquarters for Slazenger, look at the Panther, that was Slazenger clothing, was down in Croydon, which is not very far from us. So I took a set. I got a set that afternoon. I drove round and I met a guy called John Parsons, who's still alive and I played golf with him last week actually in Bournemouth.
And he was working at Slazenger?
He was an advertising manager for them. And I said, I've got these amazing pictures of Seve.
Open your checkbook.
Well, hopefully.
Where should we start with this number?
How many zeros?
I never met him. And I left them with him, and he rang me the next day. He said, we're going to do a campaign with these.
I bet we are.
Yeah. So they were on the London Underground, on the bus shelters all over Britain. Amazing. Fantastic sale for me, obviously. And just... it started from there. I can't count how many times that picture's been used. And
when was the first time Seve spoke to you about it?
Not long after, because I made sure I gave him some prints.
Of course. And again, in that 8 years, were you chatting to him? Were you,
but he wouldn't know me from Adam.
He can't.
No way he'd remember.
Think of all the proams that he plays in.
You put him off the golf course.
Yeah,
yeah.
No, especially that, but also the fact that he played in the pro-am.
You're just another pro-am partner.
No, but from that moment, I started to get to know him.
Right, and really. Did you remind him that we played together 8 years ago?
Yeah, I told him. He said, "Really?" That was it.
And he saw that. Did he love it?
He loves it. Yeah. Well, look at his arm.
Well, it's his logo now, isn't it?
It's on his arm as well.
Tattooed
on his arm. Yeah. And I remember going to a practice ground and saying, "I need some artist reference money for that."
Yeah, exactly.
And he goes, "No, David."
Do you not think that when a picture like that is just so iconic? Like obviously that was pictures before I was born, so I've always known when I look at Sevi that picture.
Yeah.
You almost forget that somebody took the picture. Yeah. It's almost like it's just been here. It's almost like, do you know what I mean? It's just so iconic.
You took that picture.
Mad.
How ridiculous is that?
And the noise, I still remember that. I can still put goosebumps on my back of my neck, basically. The noise of the hearing that putt go in and seeing him do that in front of me. And you sort of have this moment of absolute at the end of it.
I don't know how you press it in the right time.
Well, exactly. And in those days, the cameras were not that reliable. If you turn them upright, the battery pack sometimes the
fall out.
Well, not fall out, but the connection would come loose.
Oh my goodness!
So I'd had gaffer tape on my battery packs because I had that happen at the London Marathon that year. The finish of the London Marathon, I'd had it upright and pressing like this, and nothing happening. So yeah.
Is there ever a time then when you might take a picture or somebody else takes a picture that becomes a massive picture, but you almost think you've got a better one that for whatever reason hasn't had that same kind of traction? Have you seen any pictures of this what you think are really good, but yours?
There's some other angles of that are brilliant.
But just haven't had that same...
No, but I think that's...
But no one was prepared to drive overnight.
Well, yeah.
Well, no, they were, but, there's a black and white sequence I've seen of it, but it's in black and white, which I think is great in a way, but it gives you... it doesn't have the same appeal as that in colour. So...
because colour would have still been quite new at that point, I guess. Coloured pictures,
It was skillful. It was and it was expensive to do, and the market was, the newspapers didn't use colour in those days. We hadn't had the tapes. Today, newspaper was 86, I think, was the start of colour newspapers. So the only thing you'd get colour pictures in was colour supplements. That was the big earner for us, was Radio Times or the Observer or Sunday Times magazine.
Because they were coloured then.
Yeah, and Mail. So
this is incredible. So that picture is number one.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go through every single one and go into as much detail.
77,000.
What's
give us one.
What's a close? Maybe not a Sevi one. What's your next best not Sevi?
Carl Lewis picture.
Carl Lewis.
2 weeks later.
Oh, you said at the Olympics.
The Olympics in '84, yeah. So if you're looking it up online, you say Carl Lewis Canon 1984.
I'm going to wait for the guy to do it.
Have you ever had a picture as well that you've loved that hasn't gone big, but it's got a piece in your heart of like one that's just...
Yeah, well, there's a couple of Sevi in there,
Is it that one?
That running one, top left.
Oh, that one, I do that.
Oh my goodness.
That almost doesn't look real.
Incredible.
Technically, at the time, that's the picture I'm most proud of as a technical shot.
That's actually incredible.
Yeah.
So this is a picture. It was in...
84 Olympics. It was in the long jump, actually, and the story behind the
was that America? 84?
Yeah, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So my first Olympic Games, and imagine what a thrill that was for me. Of
course.
Summer Games, Olympic, Los Angeles.
Wow, living the life.
We called them the Kodachrome Games.
Yeah.
Because the light was so fantastic, beautiful weather, the whole time, and that story. I was very much the junior guy because Steve Powell and Tony Duffy were very much the kingpins.
Yeah.
Tony Duffy was the world's best.
This is all sports.
Yeah, track and field photographer.
Yeah.
And Steve Powell was probably the world's best all-round sports photographer at that stage. And they were doing the track and field, basically. Myself and Trevor Jones, we were the juniors, so we were off to weightlifting in Anaheim.
Just all sorts
of
different ones.
Rowing or whatever it was. But it was still an amazing experience. But that afternoon, I'd finished at the weightlifting in Anaheim, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and get into the track tonight. And because your credential, it was every venue, you go in, it's fine. Then I got in there, and I don't know whether you've seen, there's a picture of Tony Duffy's taken in the 1968 Olympics, Bob Beamon, this iconic long jump picture.
I bet I've seen it.
Yeah.
Tony
Duffy.
Bob
Beamon.
And what Olympics?
Mexico, 68.
Mexico.
It's a long jump picture where he's literally flying like a bird through the air. Let's have a look.
I think that's the one, is it? It's a bit dark, sorry.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, I've seen that one.
Absolutely iconic picture.
Oh my god, he looks like he's about 7 foot tall off the floor.
And that was the world record where he broke the world record by about 2.5 feet.
Wow.
Literally 2.5 feet in one jump. It's because of altitude in Mexico City. And Tony didn't have a credential for those Olympics. He's sat in the crowd, but he was an athletic fan.
Wow.
A bit like I was a golf fan.
Yeah.
He's incredible. To this day, he lives in San Diego, and he's looking at pictures every single day, sports pictures. We email all the time.
Really?
Yeah, amazing man. But he took that picture.
That is phenomenal.
That just...
So you were on the track in 84.
Yes, I got there and I was thinking I'm going to do
You might just have to come a little bit closer to my...
I was thinking I'm going to do that picture. Walk in there. There's 100 photographers head on. I'm thinking I'm not going to get in there. So I thought, well, what's the thing about Carl Lewis? He was also the Olympic 100 meters champion. So I thought I'm going to do a picture of him sprinting, long jump. He sprints on the long jump, and I managed to talk my way into a position on the side of the track where I could just, and the light was fading, but I still wanted to use nice quality film. Yeah. So I thought, right, I'm going to have to do a pan shot, which is, for technical side, is slow shutter speed. And I did it wide open on this 135 lens, f2, which is technical term.
You've lost me.
Yeah, but people will know.
I'm sure
about
people
it.
listen. People who know.
And I shot it at 60th of a second, so it's blurred the background, but I held the focus on him as he's running, and literally that picture was in there. And when I saw that the next day, it was like, oh my god, yeah.
I'm going places.
Yeah. I don't think that picture would look as good with today's equipment. There's something about the look of it that looks...
Film, yeah.
I almost like the fact his feet are moving that fast. Yeah. They look blurred.
They're blurred, yeah. And one of the great things I've had, and I didn't see it because I was away at the USPGA in 2012, and that picture was projected onto the Houses of Parliament.
What?
Yeah, and there's a picture online. I
find it.
I don't know where you're going to find it.
Wow, that's incredible.
Say Carl Lewis,
Houses of
2012
Parliament.
Houses of Parliament.
That is
And for me, I've got this huge in my study at home. This picture.
It's not coming up on Google by the looks of things.
No, probably it will be on Getty. It's on Getty. You
have to send us a link later.
Yeah,
I'll put it in the video.
Yeah, no, it's a brilliant picture.
Wow.
Yeah, and someone's got it with Big Ben and the Houses of Parliament at night with my picture.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What's your most proudest moment?
Proudest, difficult one, because I'm really proud of the Seve moment.
Yeah.
For me,
that picture.
Yeah, it means so much to golf. It means so much to his family. It means so much to the Open Championship.
Yeah.
It's European Tour. Everybody, even though it wasn't a European Tour event,
they all love it because he's a European superstar.
Yeah. So I'm most proud of that. I'm proud of that Carl Lewis picture.
Yeah.
But I'm just proud of the fact that I'm leaving a legacy to a sport that I love. And sport as a whole. I've got some pretty iconic football pictures in there in my World Cup career, and some football. I think I was even here for the first Premier League. Brian Robson lifting the Premier League for the first time.
Wow.
Yeah, I was there that night, so I got in without a pass.
Did you?
There's another story behind that.
Blagged it.
No, it was just a lucky moment.
That's crazy. Yeah. I suppose if you go in there with authority and cameras and enough lanyards.
And they'd seen that. I'd been there before. It was just we needed an extra photographer in there, and we just managed. We worked as a team. We got me in as well. But,
so next thing I want to ask, what's your favourite major to photograph?
Right, as an atmosphere and as an event, the Open.
Okay.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for photography, the Masters.
Just because of how beautiful it is?
It's just so incredible. Yeah, and we have to work behind the ropes. It's the only event we have to work from the crowd.
And it's very rare that no patrons have cameras.
No.
Can't have cameras, can't have phones during tournaments.
No phones. So
but you have to be the patron side behind the ropes.
Behind the ropes. But the other beauty of that is if you look at the fairways, there is just one cameraman and that's it.
Yeah.
No bunker rakers.
Yeah.
No scoreboard carriers, no radio commentators, nothing. It's clean, it's pristine, and the lights are amazing at Augusta.
I've been once. I was there for 2018 final round.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe how, looking on the side of 13th, how empty it is.
Yeah.
Do you get, like, there's nothing there.
That's my studio. That's my afternoon studio.
That
13 to me is
perfect.
Like absolute best place.
And you just pull up a green chair and shoot away?
Sometimes, no, because you want to move, don't you?
Yeah.
You know, I'm having to talk my way through the crowd all the time.
Of course.
The English accent works a dream.
I bet.
Yeah. And also the my height helps.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's a mission.
I bet.
To try and get through.
Because a lot of time the patrons park the chair there that's it.
That's when you're in trouble. Yeah, but then you try and get to the front row of the standing and then pray they don't stand up in front of you.
Of course.
Give it a big moment. You know, I've been done before on 18 by people just leaping up in front of me and you just don't see a thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Question then for you, David.
Yeah.
So you've been to, as according to this, 120 majors, which is ridiculous.
And I've just missed 2 Masters. First time, 37 in a row I've done.
Is that because of travel restrictions?
COVID, yeah.
You thought you could have done it? Do you not think?
No,
would you have
literally.
would you have had to quarantine when you got back or something, or
There's
just
all
not been able to
sorts
do
of
it?
reasons. Also, there's insurance reasons,
right?
Within Getty. So,
would you have liked to have been at those Masters just because there's no patrons
going as well.
No crowd as well?
That's what I'm thinking.
Angles would have been just a joy, but I gather it was quite tough actually. To be fair,
were there some American photographers that kind of wound you up about it?
The thing about Getty is we've got so many photographers, so we're staffing with like week after next PGA Championship. Just staffing with US-based photographers.
And do you feel like you're like a team? Like does that Getty almost feels like a team? So you don't mind if somebody from Getty gets that picture. You want it to be yours, obviously. It's competitive.
I do mind. Yeah,
it's competitive. Well, as long as Getty get it, but Getty.
That's the number one priority.
Yeah.
But I'm actually working slightly differently with Getty now because I've done 38 years now with the same company.
Yeah.
And they kind of let me do what I want to do.
Of course.
So
we keep producing the goods. So.
Well, yeah, but it's also physically it's bloody hard now.
I bet.
Yeah. So I'm in mid-60s. So to actually, be up on your feet for 15 hours carrying that stuff is
of course
quite physically.
Sorry, you're going to ask a question.
I was going to say we've been to 120 to majors so far, which is obviously ridiculous. But what is it that really keeps that motivation? Is it trying to find that other picture that's going to be like as on par with your Sevi one, or is it just the love of it? What is it that keeps you going?
It's both. It's the. I mean, I do not go out without a camera. Basically, my wife hates me because every time I go for a walk or we go on holiday, full kit goes in within reason. Yeah, and. I've got a passion for photography, so that's number one.
Yeah.
And number two is I just love being there.
Being part of it, being busy,
just witnessing the best golf in the world.
You're watching history.
Yeah.
You must know everybody when you go to these tournaments, though. You've been for so long.
The Masters is funny.
Do you pretty much know every player?
Don't know the Americans particularly well, but certainly, that's why I love doing the Walker Cup.
Yeah.
And this is the first one I've missed since '83.
Is it really?
Yeah. And that's because you get to meet them as amateurs.
Of course. And again,
that's where I first met Rory McIlroy properly. And, we've been friends ever since. And it's like, it made a massive difference.
And he won last night?
Yes, fantastic.
Would you have, if you, so how come you can't go there now? Is it still the same restrictions?
I could, no, but Getty, it's all to do with
insurance and stuff, you said.
Yeah, and they don't want to have people travelling.
I get you.
And, they've got staff in America who can do it, unfortunately. So I'm just got to be patient.
If you'd have had a choice yesterday,
on
hindsight, to be at the Walker Cup final round or Rory's.
Difficult. Probably the Walker Cup.
Just because you see these fresh faces.
And I love the Walker Cup.
Yeah.
It's a great event. Match play at its best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like the Ryder Cup as well for that as well?
It, yeah.
And President's Cup and Solheim Cup?
President's Cup, a bit different. It's more of a...
That's more like a job for you, that one.
It's still... Well, it's not a job because I love it,
Yeah.
But I was down the last one in Australia and it was fantastic. But it's a little bit more friendly.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to say, but it's not quite got the same
passion.
Yeah, competitiveness as the Ryder Cup had.
Do you find yourself being a bit biased towards the European players for pictures?
Massively. Well, I like Bryson DeChambeau. I think he's brilliant for golf. He's a, love him or hate him character.
Yeah.
But I think he's...
You like taking pictures of him?
Yeah. God, yeah. God, I mean, I'd love to have been at Bay Hill when he knocks it across that pond. What a shot that was.
That's crazy. I bet you got some good before and afters of him now as well.
Yeah.
The size changes.
Walker Cup, and his arms are about the size of him. And now it's like that.
Then one of the questions I wanted to ask as well, taking pictures of golfers on golf course is obviously a huge passion. Yeah. Taking pictures of just golf courses.
I love it.
Do you as well?
Oh yeah.
What do you love about that so much?
Just the beauty and.
Do you love that more than taking pictures of players?
Yeah, I think if I was, the way I'm going at the moment, and during lockdown, I've learned how to fly a drone, so I've got a drone license now.
Nice. I was going to say that's a bit of a game changer for you.
It is.
Because am I right in saying you took that famous picture of Dubai?
Yeah,
from the helicopter.
I've got before and after.
Was that helicopter?
Yeah,
that's famous. That picture, isn't it?
It's a bonkers, isn't it? It's the most amazing.
Get one up now.
Well, I've got a file I can send you, but it's a before and after of the 8th hole ground level, and
from the famous 8th hole going back towards the city.
Same view, the view.
No way.
Yeah.
And did you know back then? Did you know what it was going to become? Or
well, a really good friend of mine, Tony Lewis, was the PR guy for the Emirates Golf Club.
Okay.
He took me out before it was built. That's how I got that picture.
So that was even before play had even been played there?
Yeah. He said, this is going to be big. And he's lived in Dubai ever since then. Fantastic bloke. But he said to me, he said, this is going to be big. And so I went out.
And did you believe him?
Emirates Airline just started in those days. EK 001 flew to Gatwick. And I remember going out on that flight, and he always got me business class seats. So it's a fantastic experience, yeah. And get up there and you just see the vision of what they had, and Sheikh Mohammed had for Dubai. And to think that golf is so much a part of that vision.
Yeah.
They knew they didn't have the natural resources Abu Dhabi had, and they knew they had to create something that was different to compete with Abu Dhabi because. They were oil-rich, gas-rich. Dubai didn't have that.
Yeah.
And his vision was to make this amazing commercial
tourist
attraction.
Yeah.
And that golf club is such an iconic part.
So central into
the development of Dubai as an emirate that. I'm really honoured to have been there to be able to record that. And I missed my first Dubai Desert Classic.
Did you really?
In January, yeah. I did every one of those.
Oh, the one that you've just missed now, just in Jan.
Sickening.
Is that annoying because of the fact you've not gone, but also the fact that you can't say I've been to everyone since?
Yes, it's infuriating.
It's like an asterisk next to it.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'm going to manage the Solheim Cup in September because I've done every one of those.
Where's that this year?
It's in America. So I'm thinking that by September, I think we'll be okay.
Hopefully, touch wood.
So, but before the pandemic, then were you obviously travelling a lot still?
25, 30 weeks a year.
Wow. And is that hard for the family, for your wife and your young son and stuff?
Yeah. But they've been brilliant because they, when I am home, I'm home.
Yeah.
And not many dads are able to go to the matches midweek and
that's true.
Pick them up from school. And so I'm home for 2 weeks at a time or whatever it is. And I do everything with him.
Yeah. Is he into photography?
Yeah, he's a good little photographer.
Is he?
Could be all right, yeah. But his great thing's cricket. He's,
really?
Yeah, little Sussex cricketer now.
Sounds like a mini you.
Yeah, he's good.
A mini you from cricket.
Get into golf in a few years.
Yeah.
But my eldest boy did that. He was a great little cricketer, very strong cricketer.
Yeah.
And could have easily have played it seriously, but he found golf at age 13. So I'm dreading I've got 2 years to go. If Toby comes up to me and says, I want to go and play golf, oh my God, here we go again. Yeah.
And it's Dad's responsibility to make sure they get the jobs and they get the opportunities. You know
absolutely.
Enough people in golf.
Yeah.
I just want to rewind on that Dubai one. When you went, could you almost vision it becoming what it was? Like,
not a clue.
Like, it doesn't even.
No.
You can't. It was literally a golf course in the desert.
The first 7 or 8 of those desert classics, there was nothing. It didn't really change. The odd hotel was being built along the coast by the golf club.
Yeah.
The Sheikh Zayed road was still a 4-lane road maximum.
Now it's like 12 lanes, isn't it?
Yeah, and Sheikh. We once we drove from they were building the Abu Dhabi Golf Club, and I think 2000, 1999, round about then, we got a press trip, and we got on a bus from the Emirates Golf Club on the Sunday night after the tournament.
Yeah.
And they took us up to Abu Dhabi. It took nearly 4 hours or something.
What?
So that road was behind lorries.
Oh my goodness!
It's 100 and something kilometres.
And for most people, it's 50 minutes now into an hour.
Oh, literally. Yeah, it was a miserable journey. I remember that. Yeah, lots of stops.
Next question.
Another one.
Obviously, photographers. So golfers are out on the golf course,
yeah,
and they're playing for their livelihoods.
Yeah.
They're living everything that they've, it's their passion.
Yeah.
Have you ever got into any conflicts with them?
Monty.
Tell.
He was out of order.
Can you tell it?
Yeah, of course I can.
Let's dive into it.
Dunhill Cup.
Okay.
At St Andrews.
Yeah.
One of the very later Dunhill Cups. And I think Scotland were playing Paraguay.
In the World Cup?
No, in the Dunhill Cup.
What's the Dunhill Cup?
Dunhill Cup was the precursor of the Dunhill Links, where they used to have a team of 3 from...
so this is still golf?
Yeah, golf.
Okay.
St Andrews.
Yeah.
On the old course.
Yeah.
And team of 3, and it was stroke play, match play.
So 3 from Scotland and 3 from Paraguay?
Yeah, 3 matches.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's stroke play, match play. So, in other words, you can be 4 ahead, but you can lose on the 18th sort of thing. So
don't quite get that.
Well, so it's stroke play.
Okay.
But you get your point by winning.
I get you.
All right.
Have you got me?
So
you have to shoot less than
the other person.
So I shoot 90, Rick shoots 92, I get the point.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So Monty's on the 17th, he said it left off the tee, safe shot.
Yeah.
His little fade didn't work, but he's grumpy because I think he's one shot behind or something at this stage. And I'm the only photographer out there on the left because that's quite a nice spot in the deep hay and stuff. And I'm miles off his line. I mean, he's going to have to hit a banana slice to get it over me. And anyway, he starts, doing his thing and huffing and puffing. And then he shouts at me. And I think, okay, I'm going to get out of the way here. I know, with Monty, he was infuriated on the course, off the course, fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant bloke.
But on the course,
oh my God,
heat of battle.
The game infuriated him, basically.
Right.
And fools infuriated him, and I was the fool that afternoon for getting in his way, basically.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I remember seeing him afterwards, and I said, Monty, that was a bit unfair. And he said, I'm so sorry.
Did he?
Really?
Apologised,
Yeah.
owned up and said.
Yeah. But...
did he know it was you?
Oh, yeah, obviously, yeah. Yeah. But he I don't think I've ever really... Rory at the Open at Royal St George's, beautiful sky, 18th tee, and we can just sneak in and lie down behind the tee. And it's been pouring with rain, and the cameras have got wet. He's just about to start his backswing, and this camera starts going.
Yours does?
Yeah. I'm not pressed anything. God's truth to this day.
So this is 18th hole,
and
St Andrews.
Everyone looks round,
George's.
God, who's that idiot?
St George's, sorry, yeah.
But luckily enough, it was still going. I put it on the ground, it was still going. And Rory just sort of laughed at me.
That's funny.
But I was so cross. It's never happened to me. You feel like this big.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
because I'm always, even when I'm at a golf event, bar the Masters, where you can't take your phone, I must check my phone 100 times when I'm near people. I'm just so terrified.
You can still make noise when it's on silent when you do that thing when you hold the buttons down. It does like the SOS thing and stuff.
I know. Yeah. They're lethal things, aren't they? Phones. When the mobile phones first came out, they were really lethal because.
I don't think they had a silent mode, did they, back when they first?
Did, but I mean, it was.
Well, for a long time, they weren't really allowed in golf tournaments as well for a while. I remember dropping them off at Royal Birkdale. I can't remember what year now.
The Open, they banned them.
Yeah, they did, and then they've obviously brought them in again now.
Around the Tiger,
era.
Tiger Woods. Yeah, that was a bad era for the Open for working conditions because he brought his own war with him. Basically,
really? Yeah. What's the best picture you got, Tiger?
In the woods in Dubai.
In the woods
behind
in Dubai.
the trees, I can send you it. But he's playing Thomas Bjorn 2001, and he loses it on the 18th because he drives right through the fairway into. Because
it's a dog leg left in it. He goes through
sharp dog leg that he went through into these bushes, and he's in there, and again, technically, it's another good picture for me because it's very dark in there, and I've got a 600mm lens on a monopod, which is really tough, and I've managed to sing 125th of a second or 60th of a second again, but he's hit this shot and sand's come blurred, and it's like streaks of sand.
Whoa.
But I'd always wanted to get Tiger in the Woods.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
You know, and that was it. That's my ultimate Tiger in the Woods picture.
I thought you were going to say one of the ones at the Masters, 97 Masters.
I mean, you know, the last Masters, I got his backside, the famous picture.
When he turned back towards the crowd?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But actually, it's a lovely version.
It is.
It's been used a lot because the crowd, a massive reaction in the crowd's brilliant. And he's there, arms up like that. So I'm quite proud of that one, even though at the time I think, geez, I'm in the wrong spot again, you know. So,
as long as it's not side view, as long as you're 180 to him, I guess.
Yeah.
As long as you're face on or right behind, it's the side ones that you probably don't
crowd,
like.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, the reaction for the crowd is just spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah. To a man, everyone's got their arms up, except for Craig Stadler. It's a brilliant picture because if you look at it, there's one grumpy chap sat on a stool at the front row, and it's Craig Stadler in a green jacket. Yeah.
Why is it? Any reason?
No, it's just Craig Stadler. It's the way he is, I think.
What's the one picture you want to get? Is the one that you don't feel like you've got yet? I know it's hard to predict the future, but is the one that you think, I wish or I want to get that picture?
Can I put words in your mouth? Rory in a green jacket.
I'm just going to say exactly the same thing.
You're going to say that.
I have no hesitation. That would be.
Imagine if you'd done it this time.
So I was praying.
I bet.
I have to say, you know, the old bones were being rattled a bit. Yeah. As much as I would have loved to have seen him win it, I was quite relieved when he didn't.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any others? Do you think I feel like you would have grown up obviously with Westwood.
Yeah, Westwood win a major. I mean, that's the saddest thing I've seen in golf was Watson not winning in 2009.
Oh, that was awful, wasn't it, with Stuart Sink?
Yeah, that spoiled one of the greatest stories in sport, basically.
And you weren't. I'm going to throw Guy under the bus here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You weren't as impressed with him. You didn't want
him to win. Obviously, I know for photography wise, that would have been some picture. Yeah. The only thing I thought, and I said on the podcast before, which obviously is a very different opinion to most people, is that I want golf to be seen as cool and young to younger people. And I just wondered if a guy that was 50 something or whatever it was at the time won the biggest event in the world, would that?
I think you missed the point. Personally, I think that would have been, you know, that would have been so brilliant for golf, because name any sport that you can have a career that's going to last you 4 decades, basically, and you're going to be competitive for 4 decades.
You can't, can you?
No, and I think that would have been the absolute iconic moment, and the fact he'd won 5 Opens already.
I know
at that point.
Then
Westwood, unfortunately, he in a way lost it worse than Watson did, because, you know, he went through the back of 16, I think it was, Westwood, didn't he? That 15 treacherous bunker. At
Same Open.
There's a treacherous bunker just through the back of this par 3. So, and didn't get up and down. And
sorry, carry on.
I was going to say Westwood winning major,
100%. Oh yeah, brilliant.
I just feel like he is, and the way he's playing at the moment is just phenomenal. Like he's playing. I mean, he's died off a little bit these last few weeks, but before that, he's just been playing outrageous.
Yeah.
I was going to ask then, obviously when I've been to majors myself, not been to that many, I've been to a few Opens, but sometimes you feel you actually don't see much golf because obviously you can't watch it all on the course. Do you almost come back from a tournament and feel like you've kind of not actually seen that much, even though you've been there for 4 days?
That infuriates my wife.
You have to then watch it when you get back.
Have you recorded the golf? I sit down
You've been
for
there
7 hours and watch the golf.
But you don't see a lot, do you?
Do you try and
really?
spot yourself?
Huh?
Do you try and spot yourself?
No, not intentionally. Every time now and again, I'm always embarrassed when I see myself on the screen.
Lying down with your camera going off without you touching it.
Or I'm picking my nose or whatever it is. Yeah.
One, with the kind of integration now, obviously, with mobile phones being so good, pictures that are taken on mobile phones, sometimes do you feel like they get too much praise, or are you a fan of modern technology with phones and stuff like that?
Photography thing again, isn't it? It's part of photography now.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just been lucky enough to get a new iPhone. I'm blown away by that damn camera on that thing.
It is good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic. You know, and might it stop me taking my big cameras on holiday? No,
still not.
I still need that long lens. I'm born and bred on long lenses. The effect of a long lenses.
Do you like the depth of field?
I like this type.
You can't do that with an iPhone, like that Sevi picture.
You got the portrait mode,
but it's not the same league.
And what about editing software? Because you can get editing that can do this now, can't you?
I suppose you have, yeah.
But again, it's not as...
I'm not a Photoshop expert, unfortunately. I probably should be. I think, in the old days, a young photographer, you'd learn in a darkroom. A lot of the best all-sport photographers came from having jobs working as assistants in the darkroom, seeing the great pictures and seeing how they work.
Yeah.
Nowadays, if you need to learn Photoshop first, if you're a young photographer, you get brilliant at Photoshop.
Of course.
That will help you a lot.
Almost saves you bad pictures, doesn't it, really?
To a certain extent, but you've still got to expose digital cameras. That's a trap people can fall into, is that you think you can get away with it. But if you've exposed it right in the first place, you can do so much more with the file afterwards.
A golfer playing golf,
mm-hmm.
What picture or what part of golf, I'm trying to explain this the best way, do you like taking pictures of the best? Is it full shots with a driver, bunker shots, putting, celebrations, reactions, emotions? What do you enjoy the most?
I like the whole lot, but I think as a golfer, I like seeing a swing shot full. There's a picture in there of Sevi.
Like a.
I'm trying to find it.
I'm trying to think what you call them now. Like a breakdown.
Like a swing sequence.
Yeah, sequence.
Sequences are great because they're part of this to me is the ultimate swing shot.
Describe this one to everyone listening.
That was taken in the Open at Lytham in 1988, and it was the second round, Friday afternoon, Lytham, 15th hole, monster par 5 into the wind.
Yeah.
Beautiful light. Sevi right at the peak of his swing on a slight uphill lie. And I just, the fact he didn't wear a hat, that's another big...
I bet you liked that about him, didn't you?
I liked it about all golf in those days. I've got a famous picture of Jack Nicklaus in 86, when he's following the putt in on the 17th hole in the final round.
Oh, yeah. Was that when he was wearing like a yellow?
Yellow, yeah. But iconic picture, last major. You. Yeah, that's a version of it anyway. No hat. And golfers didn't really start wearing hats because they weren't the value now. If you ask Chubby Chandler, he said, "No, Dave." I said, that's it. He said, that's the most important part of a golfer's body.
Yeah, the hat.
So you don't see the people's personalities.
Because you get shadows. We even struggle making videos. Like I often sometimes like, I need to not get my cap in the way because don't see my eyes.
It's horrendous, isn't it?
David, just so we don't obviously forget before we do wrap this up, where can people get the book? And let's have a little bit on the book because we've referenced it a few times and we've got obviously a copy. It looks awesome, but where can people find it? And tell us a bit more about the book.
So the book it's an idea. Obviously, I've always dreamt about doing a book like this on Sevi, especially since he passed away, but not had time really. And last summer I suddenly thought, what am I going to do? And
I got time.
Came up with the idea, tried to find the publishers, nobody really backing me at that point. And I had a chance conversation with Martin Slumbers of the RNA.
Yeah.
And he said, just contact me if you need help with it.
Great.
And so I did.
You were like, yeah, I will.
Well, I did. Once I got a publisher interested, I still had to find a publisher who was going to back us.
Wow.
But then the publishers, Vision Sport Publishing, were not quite convinced. But then once we got the sponsorship or the help, I don't really call it sponsorship.
Of course.
It's like it's partnership.
Almost like a collaboration.
It's partnership, yeah. And that's so significant that that got the idea off the ground. Then I spoke to Carmen, his ex-wife, about involving family, and she said speak to the children, and I did, and they were fantastic from the word go.
Brilliant.
And then it all developed from that. And then we did this online. Basically, me with the design on one end of the computer, and we put it all together, and it was a great journey, and it brought back a lot of emotion. And I tried to use all the best, what I thought some of the best pictures by other photographers as well, so it's not purely my work at all, but it's all from the Getty archive, basically.
And it's it's so well put together. It's a beautiful book.
I'm really thrilled the way it's come out.
So his life through the lens, and like I say, there's loads of pictures that obviously you've taken over the years, other photographers, family pictures that you said that people have never seen them before.
But when you look at those family pictures, every single picture has that smile.
Yeah.
There's never been a smile like it in sport, I don't think. Tiger's smile's different.
Yeah.
It hasn't got that same warmth.
Yeah. It's an odd one because he kind of, I was born in 86.
Yeah.
So I kind of missed the Seve window. Obviously I massively respect him and everything that he did. And I've seen all the archives and everything else. I didn't live in this world and I kind of miss it.
It's hard to explain to
people. Out of all the golfers, I think this is the era that I would have loved to experience.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience for European golf.
Yeah,
amazing, because you've got Langer, Lyle, Faldo, Woosnam, Lathabal, winning majors. From not being, apart from Tony Jacklin, we'd barely won a major.
It's crazy, isn't it?
So
available to buy now.
Yeah, to buy now. It was launched last Friday, May the 7th, the 10th anniversary of his passing.
Is that how long it's been already? 10 years. Wow.
So it's going to be available in bookshops fairly soon.
Brilliant.
And the best way to buy it is online at www.sevithebook.com.
Sevithebook.com.
And there's two editions you can buy, because you can buy the regular trade edition, which is this one, or there's a special limited boxed edition.
This is nice.
Which is nice.
This is nice. And you say you got the print in this one?
So I signed a print on art paper, in each one numbered 1 to 1,000.
Wow. Is this ours?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's not one of the limited editions though.
What?
No, but that's my author's copies. I got some author's copies, so
they're more rare.
Yeah, they are. There's only 50 of those.
Perfect.
So there you go.
Are you proud of it? Proud of how it's come out?
I'm very proud. Yeah, and there's one picture. I just want to say one little special. The most memorable day of my photographic career was in 1992, when I had the privilege, pleasure, whatever it was, of spending a day with Seve and Pedrania.
Wow.
Where we did instruction pictures in the morning. Awesome. And then at lunchtime, we're having a very nice lunch, because we'd managed to do all the pictures in the morning, and it was finished early, and he was a very happy boy. And I said, Seve, there's one thing I'd love to do. I said, I'd love to see where you started hitting golf balls, which was on the beach with a 3-iron and pebbles.
His famous flop shots from the beach, basically.
Yeah, basically he learnt to putt on the sand in Soma Beach, which is very close to Pedrania. And he said, "You want to go, David?" I said, "Sure, I'd love to go. Let's go."
Please.
So 2 minutes later, he was coming out the kitchen with an empty Stoot can, with the lid taken off.
Oh my days.
Yeah, and a napkin. He said, "Come on," we go into his car, down to the beach, and he starts cutting this hole with his Stoot can. And it's, so how do I put it upside down, bang it down, pull it out. It's a bit like a sandcastle in reverse.
Yeah.
And then he said, I'll just go behind the stick. So he went off and found a stick on the side of the beach, put the stick in, tied the napkin to the top. This is how I learned to putt for Augusta.
Oh my days.
Yeah.
It's just you and him on the beach?
Yeah, and the editor from Golf World.
How full circle has that gone? You've gone from playing this guy when he was relatively unknown.
I know, and then having a moment like that.
Idolising him, doing that, and then 10 years after his death, making this book with his family and his children, which they'll cherish forever. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then we also set some swing sequences. So he had his practice ball bag, and I'm packing up. I'm quite jet lagged, because I'd only flown in from Singapore the day and a half before. And walking back to Dave, where are you going? Where are you going? I said, Seve done. Brilliant. I went, no. We have to find the balls. So he marches off down the beach, and we're trying to find 36 Titleist Pro, and we were one short, and he was still muttering about it in the car.
Sounds like you wiggle practicing on the car.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
When do you envision, and you might not do, whether you have a plan or whether you want to share it, when do you hang up the cameras, the lenses?
When I can't walk.
That's it.
Or can't see.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so
lots more majors to come.
Oh, please God, yeah.
Lots more Ryder Cups.
I was really, really, really wanting to do 50 Masters in a row. It would have been such an amazing legacy to leave. Hopefully I'm going to get to 50 Opens in a row, because...
Did it miss one?
Yeah.
Oh, you should do that.
Yeah.
I think you can put a little asterisk next to 2019, 2020 and 2021.
There's definitely got a big asterisk.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, David, it's been an absolute pleasure, an honour.
If it wasn't for the fact of looking at the thing, we could go on probably all day, couldn't we?
It's been a pleasure and honour. No, we've been rolling for 2 hours. It's been phenomenal. You're like I say, one of the names. I think one of the most famous name in golf photography. The work you've done, the legacy you're going to leave is going to make your family super proud. People in the industry, you've set the benchmark, and I think for everything you've done here for Sevi and his family and everything else is just phenomenal. So, David, you've been an honour to be on the podcast. Thanks so much, and people listening, go out and buy the book. There's not many copies, certainly of limited edition ones. Get your hands on them. And David, that was an absolute honour.
Thank you so much, both of you. It's really fun.
Oh, it was awesome.
Brilliant. Cheers.
Thank you so much.